Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. This is a video on daily news and editorial analysis, which I'll be covering from the Hindu and Indian Express. So the most important news and editorial of the day that is relevant from prelims and mains examination perspective will be discussed in this session. Let's get started with news topic list. Today is 4th of May. The first news is India export surge and the trade deficit has widened. Second, India-Denmark pact on green strategy partnership. Third, UGC draft guideline to address the mental health. Fourth, India extend more aid to Sri Lanka. And the last is an editorial, joblessness on the rise in India. Apart from the news and editorial discussion, at the end of this video, there will be MCQ based questions. These questions will be based on current affairs that will help you for the upcoming prelims examination. So without any further delay, let's get started. And if you are new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, if you find this video informative and helpful, do not forget to press a like button. And just to tell you about our prelims test series, this is the test series which will help you for the upcoming prelims examination. 60 high quality tests that you can get along with the IAS Guest and magazine subscription. So do check it out. मैंने वीडियो के डिस्क्रिप्शन में लिंक दिए हुए हैं, आप ज़्यादा डिटेल वहाँ से ले सकते हैं. First news, that is India export surge and the trade deficit has widened. This particular news is important for General Studies Paper 3, Indian economy and issues related to planning, mobilization, resource growth and development. So in this news, we'll understand some of the data that is coming with regards to the export and import and what is the data on the deficit, that is with regards to the trade deficit. So according to the preliminary data that was recently released by the Ministry of Commerce, it says that India merchandise export in April has grew up to 24.2%. This is what the ministry data has to quote with regards to year-on-year development, and this would be the third highest level of merchandise export that India has seen. This is mounting to around $38.2 billion. And on the year back, basically अगर बात करें जिस तरह से present में commodity की prices बढ़ी हैं, even the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war crisis, we have seen the percentage growth of Indian merchandise export is on the higher side. The preceding month has witnessed a record outbound shipment, that is $42.2 billion. Widening trade deficit, जो ट्रेड डेफिसिट है वो बड़ी है, इसके क्या इंडिकेटर्स है, इससे इंडिया इकोनॉमी को क्या इम्पैक्ट होगी. सो import in April has surged to 26.6%, that is to 58.3 billion, leading to a trade deficit of 20.1 billion during this month, that is for the month of April. Trade deficit होती क्या है? To give you a basic understanding, trade deficit एक difference है between the value of country's import and the value of export. So many a times in other competitive examination, they can ask you the difference of trade deficit. पेट्रोलियम प्रोडक्ट्स की अगर बात करें, यहाँ पे 113.2% तक की डेफिसिट. इलेक्ट्रॉनिक गुड्स 64%, केमिकल 26.7%. दैट हैज सीन द ग्रोथ इन द एक्सपोर्ट इन अप्रैल. सो दिस इज अ टोटल वैल्यू ऑफ द ग्रोथ दैट वाज सीन इन टर्म्स ऑफ एक्सपोर्ट फॉर ऑल दिस प्रोडक्ट्स. इंजीनियरिंग गुड्स की अगर बात करें, this was only at 15.4%, pharmaceutical 3.9%, and the ready-made garment have seen 16.4%, that was registered the subpar growth. On the other hand, export अगर gems और jewelries की बात करें, this has witnessed minus 2.1%, and rice 14.2%, that has contracted for the month of April. So some contraction and some upper side surge was also seen in the different sectors and commodities. Among the India's 10 export commodities, gems and jewelries exported dipped marginally by 2.1%. This is what I have told you. While the rice export is 14.24%. This is the same or other one because ये commodities में ये काफी important segments. Now the trade tango, basically to give you an idea, export, import और deficit की क्या क्या data है. Although India merchandise export has rose up to 24%. This is mounting up to $38 billion for April. But again, अगर data की बात करें comparison की, for the April last year, that is for 20 21 and 22, you can see the export in the earlier year was 30.75, which is now 38.19. Import was 46.04, which is now 58.26. Deficit is 15.29, which is now at 20.07. So this is the current data about the export, import, and deficit. And the import and export commodities growth include petroleum product, that is 113. This is all what we have discussed. You can pause this video and you can read out the entire data. Talking about the value is something this much. This is the total import India trend that you can figure it out in this images. Now, looking into the global economic forecast, this is with regards to the development of various economies. So, prospects for the global economy has darkened since the outbreak of the war in the Ukraine amid the Russia invasion that started on February 24 and 2022. So, the World Trade Organization last month has lowered its projection for the global trade forecast to 3% to 4.7% due to the ongoing conflict potentially and the reason for the Omicron subtype, which is again flattering in China, right? Now, despite comfortably rising to 400 billion export for India, that is for the financial year 2022, the Commerce Ministry has projected not any fresh target for financial year 23 because of the uncertainty that is mounting around the global world trade. Now, the other news, India Denmark pact on green strategic partnership, something relevant for General Studies paper 2, that is effect and policies and politics for developed and developing countries on India's interest and India's diaspora. So, in order to boost the bilateral relationship between India and Denmark, both countries have agreed for a 5-year action plan and they're looking forward with a unique green strategic partnership, something which is again very important. And this will help India to get all the targets that India has already set in the multilateral forum like COP26 and even to the PCC, that is a Paris climate change, और भी किसी जगह पे जहाँ पे ग्रीन पार्टनरशिप या सस्टेनेबल इन्वायरमेंट की बात की गई है वहाँ पे इंडिया को एड मिली. The Prime Minister of India has said that the Green Strategic Partnership finalized a year ago, reflecting the foresight of both countries and respect for the environment, right? So, if you're writing in mains paper about India's efforts in terms of sustainable environment, you have to quote about the recent bilateral agreement between India and Denmark in terms of the Green Strategic Partnership. 5-year action plan की अगर बात करें, how this action plan will work for both the countries. So this action plan is for the duration of 21 till 26 and this aim to consolidate green and low carbon growth that focuses on the sectors which specifically include water as the first, second renewable energy, third climate actions, circular economy, sustainable and smart cities, cooperation in intellectual property right, that is IPR. Specifically with Denmark, we are coming with this agreement also. Maritime cooperations, food and agricultures, and health and life sciences. So these are the priority area in terms of 5-year action plan that India and Denmark has signed, and definitely in due course of time, this will substantially give result which will mutually help India and Denmark. Other important agreements की अगर बात करें, India and Denmark have signed 4 agreements that aims at boosting the cooperations in green technology, management of natural resources such as groundwaters. मैंने आपको पूरी डिटेल में सब एरियाज बता दी कहाँ कहाँ किस पे डिस्कशन होनी है और किस पे एग्रीमेंट्स हुई. This will pave way for long-term collaboration to address the groundwater challenges in India, and even the groundwater problem, that is depletion of groundwater, is a big concern. Even the deterioration of water quality is a concern. So दोनों countries ने decide किया है they would be working on the cooperation, including the new partnership in health, and both countries had decided to cooperate in agriculture-related technology. And under this, the work would be done on technology in many areas such as food safety, cold chain, food processing, fertilizer, fisheries, and aquaculture basically. Now the other news, that is UGC draft guideline to address mental health, something very important at this juncture where we have seen lot much suicide coming to India, right? Something relevant for general studies paper 2, issues related to development and management of education and human resources. So recently, the University Grant Commission, that is UGC, has prepared a draft guideline. This is a draft guideline which would be finally approved after some stakeholders, comments and even opinion from the people. So ये अभी initially draft guideline release की गई है that mandate the creation of dedicated cell for college and universities having a mental health counselors. तो जिस तरह से जितने भी मेडिकल कॉलेजेस हैं, इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेजेस हैं या कोई भी कॉलेजेस यूनिवर्सिटीज़ हैं इंडिया में जहाँ पे फ्रेश स्टूडेंट्स होती हैं की एडमिशन होती है ग्रेजुएशन लेवल पे और उनकी टेंशन्स अलग होती हैं एकेडमिक करिकुलम्स को लेकर के, उसको ध्यान में रखते हुए मेंटल हेल्थ काउंसलर्स की बात की गई है दैट नीड टू बी देयर in their colleges and universities, right? So tackling with the peer pressures, stress and depression that we have seen during the recent year, and the death number, you can say the suicide has also risen because of this. The guideline is titled as a promotion of physical fitness, sports, student health, welfare, psychology, emotional well-being basically. क्या है इस ड्राफ्ट गाइडलाइन में इंपॉर्टेंट जो आपको नोट करनी है अंडर दिस गाइडलाइन dedicated cell, this is the first point of importance that would be there in the colleges and university. This is expected to maintain a separate record of student appearing for the more vulnerable and stress prone areas. Now every higher educational institution shall have a student service center जिसको SSC के नाम से जाना जाएगा, and this would be responsible for dealing with managing the problem related to the stress and emotional adjustment. Now it has also standardized the systematic arrangement जहाँ पे ये कोशिश की गई है कि नए provisions को include किए जाए जो कि students को support करे. that should be the requisite is to support the students, especially वैसे students जो rural background से आते हैं, female students के लिए जहाँ पे again एक problem होती है उनको cope up करने के लिए with the male counterpart as well. Students from divergent cultural background and students with special need, that is the student with disabilities. So for these all categories of student, they need to have a specific dedicated cell that will be looking into it. So if you're writing an ethics paper, that is a general studies paper 4, अगर आपसे कोई सवाल पूछा जाए तो आप इस तरह के एग्जाम्पल वहाँ भी कोट कर पाएंगे. ऑब्जेक्टिव ऑफ द गाइडलाइन, क्या ऑब्जेक्टिव है जो गवर्नमेंट इस तरह की गाइडलाइन लेकर गई है फॉर द मेंटल हेल्थ? फर्स्ट इज दैट this will help to promote physical fitness and sports activity among the student, and definitely it will inculcate a positive sense of attitude to develop a support system for the students. Second, that the essential to strengthen the mental well-being of the student to safeguard them against the different kind of stress, pressure, behavior that they face during the entire course of their curriculum or the duration of the studies. नाउ पेंडेमिक ईयर में अगर देखिए कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट डेटा जो एनसीआरबी की तरफ से आई है, इट शोज दैट बिग जंप हैज बीन सीन इन द डेथ अमंग द स्टूडेंट. द परसेंटेज चेंज फॉर द स्टूडेंट वर 21.2%, प्रोफेशनल सैलरीड पर्सन was 16.5%, डेली वेज अर्नर 15.67, retired person 11.9 and unemployed person was 11.65. So the sources are accidental death and suicide. This is the data that is coming from directly the नेशनल क्राइम रिकॉर्ड ब्यूरो. तो अमंग दिस यू कैन सी सबसे ज़्यादा जो डेथ रिपोर्ट की गई है सुसाइड्स की वो स्टूडेंट्स कम्युनिटी में. एंड इवन फॉर द स्टूडेंट्स इन इंडिया यू कैन सी द नंबर इज टेकिंग अ टोल. फॉर लाइक 2014 दिस वाज 8,000, 15 again 8,934 and in 16 it is 9,474. And most number of death was reported from the state of Maharashtra. Till 2016 the number was 1,350. Now, the other news, India extend more aid to Sri Lanka, something which is relevant for general studies paper 2, that is India and its neighborhood relations. तो जिस तरह से ongoing crisis चल रही है श्रीलंका में, इंडिया ने proactive role दिखाते हुए extended support दिया है. That is in total we have supported around 3 billion to the cash strapped Sri Lanka, जहाँ पे huge debt के वजह से ये पूरी डेट ट्रैप में चल रही है. और श्रीलंका की इकोनॉमिक क्राइसिस इज द वर्स्ट इकोनॉमिक क्राइसिस दैट द श्रीलंका इकोनॉमी हैज एवर सीन, राइट? सिंस January 2022 the problem is worsening and India has supported from that point of time, जहाँ पे करेंसी स्वैप्स, क्रेडिट लाइन फॉर एसेंशियल आइटम्स एंड लोन डिफरमेंट दी गई है इंडिया की तरफ से टू द श्रीलंकन. Now 400 million currency swap with the Reserve Bank of India, जो हमारी एपिक्स बैंक है, सेंट्रल बैंक है, रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया ने एक्सटेंडेड भी किया था 400 million की करेंसी स्वैप को, and this was on April 18 that has extended the another 3 months. Now India's aid to Sri Lanka, अगर बात करें पूरी सपोर्ट सिस्टम की जो इंडिया ने दी है, so India has helped Sri Lanka in the defer repayment of the loan that is totaling around $1 billion under the Asian Clearing Union. What is ACU? This is a homework, you can check it out. कई बार प्रीलिम्स में डायरेक्ट सवाल भी पूछे जा सकते हैं इस पे. Further, 4 lakh metric ton of the fossil fuel has been delivered to Sri Lanka through a 500 million credit facility. $1 billion credit line is essentially for an import of an operational, and around 16,000 metric ton of rice was supplied so far. So on the humanitarian ground, India is also providing food security and food, necessary food that is essentially required with the people of Sri Lanka. India will offer fuel worth of 200 million based on a short-term loan as well. Present situation क्या है श्रीलंका में? How the crisis is ongoing. So the crisis has manifold, and the severe shortages of food and fuel medicine that has been seen in country has experienced high inflation, which is nearly 30%. This is something which has crossed all the benchmark. आप सोच सकते हैं अगर किसी कंट्री में 30% इन्फ्लेशन होगी तो उस कंट्री में परचेजिंग पावर पैरिटी की क्या हाल होगी. इवन फॉर अ कंट्री लाइक इंडिया वी हैव सीन 7.8% इन certain quarters. उसके बाद इन्फ्लेशन was there on a higher side. But for a country like Sri Lanka, it has already witnessed 30% of the inflation. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka Tourism Ministry has reported that जो टूरिस्ट के अराइवल है वो पूरी तरह से कम हो गई है, जो कि एक सब्सटैंशियल कंट्रीब्यूशन है श्रीलंका के जीडीपी के लिए, राइट. एंड इवन जितने भी टूरिस्ट प्रोवाइडर एसोसिएशन है श्रीलंका में, उनका कहना है दैट द प्रिवेलिंग fuel shortage, frequent power cut, and the shortage of medicine in the local hospital has made things more worse for Sri Lanka. Now, how the things has actually started, अगर एक टाइमलाइन की बात करें, अगर आप एक हिस्टोरिकल पर्सपेक्टिव या फिर एक बैकग्राउंड में देखने की कंटेक्स्ट समझें कि किस तरह से श्रीलंका की जो पूरी कैश क्रंच है वो स्टार्ट हुई थी. सो ड्यूरिंग पैंडेमिक, इफ यू लुक बैक टू द ईयर्स 2020, so the losses of some 48 billion in the yearly foreign currency influx was seen. This was via tourism, crippling hospitality dependent economy. Now coming back to November 19, where things have just started, slashes in taxes हुई, including nearly halving the VAT. This helped to dry up the government revenue, जिसके वजह से जब taxes कम की गई तो गवर्नमेंट में revenue generations काफ़ी कम हुई. And despite the expert warning, high level of debt obligation was there. Now in 2021, foreign workers remittances, a major sources of foreign exchange, dips to 22.7% to 5.5 billion. January 22 की अगर बात करें, forex reserve fall by 2.368 billion. Analysts estimate that 500 million immediately was usable. In February 2022, soaring oil import cost due to Ukraine crisis that has triggered the fuel shortages and the blackouts. And consequences of this, that the inflation has risen to 15%, that is highest in Asia, right? So this is a number that is again disturbing for a country like Sri Lanka. Now external debt की अगर बात करें श्रीलंका by the lenders, किस किस जगह से कितनी श्रीलंका के पास अभी भी डेट है जो उनको रीपे करनी है. So the highest coming from China, उसके बाद एशियन डेवलपमेंट बैंक, जापान से भी उन्होंने पैसे लिए हुए हैं. इंडिया हैज़ ऑल्सो गिवन देम, वर्ल्ड बैंक एंड IMF. Now श्रीलंका की आउटस्टैंडिंग डेट टू चाइना और इंडिया की अगर बात करें, यू कैन सी द कंपैरिजन फॉर द ईयर 2015 and 2019. द कलर कोड रेड इन फॉर चाइना एंड दिस इज फॉर इंडिया, द ब्लू इन कलर. सो दीज आर द टोटल फॉरेन डेट that an obligation with China, basically Sri Lanka, that they need to pay both to China as well as to India. Now price comparison की अगर बात करें for December 2020 and December 21, you can see the price comparison for the rice, the number and the value has increased. Wheat flour, coconut oil, sugar, milk powder and lentils, these are the price that increase has been witnessed, and again creating problem for the local citizen of the country. Now moving to the editorial of the day, joblessness on the rise in India. This is something that will give you an idea about the actual data in terms of the employment and unemployment, right? Relevant for General Studies Paper 2, government policies and intervention for the development of various sector and issues arising from it, design and implementation. This editorial is written by Santosh Mehrotra. He is a research professor at Institute of Labor Economics in Germany. So I'll be simplifying this editorial via four important subpoints. The first would be employment unemployment survey, जो डेटा मिसमैच है उसके बारे में देखेंगे, क्या कहना है एक्सपर्ट्स का, फार्म अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट की एम्प्लॉयमेंट में क्या डेटा है और कंक्लूजन क्या हो सकती है इसकी. So the entire editorial focuses upon the employment and unemployment data and concern. सो इंडिया की अगर बात करें, इट इज़ इन द थ्रोज ऑफ वाइडनिंग जॉबलेस क्राइसिस. उसकी मतलब है ऐसी सिचुएशन, एक ऐसी इंटेंस कंसर्न सिचुएशन जहाँ पे जॉबलेसनेस काफ़ी ज़्यादा बढ़ी है और ये क्राइसिस जो है पेंडेमिक के टाइम से बढ़ती ही जा रही है. But the fact of the matter is that government has refused to recognize the job crisis in India. So this is a criticism that is inclined towards the government, and they just want to ponder a point where government has not adequately addressed this problem in due course of time. Right? Now, understanding with the fact कि employment और unemployment survey में क्या data आई हैं, एनएसओ जो पूरी एम्प्लॉयमेंट और एम्प्लॉयमेंट की डेटा देती है, उनके जो अगर सर्वे को देखें, कंपेयर दैट 8% annual GDP in growth that was for 2014 2004 to 14 year 10 years की estimations है, and 7.5 million new jobs was created, non-farm jobs were created for the year 2005 and 2012. This is what the report has to quote, but यहाँ पे numbers कहना है जो निकली हैं उसको anticipate कैसे करना है, that is again a point of concern. So the number for new farm jobs that is generated for 2013 and 19 was only 2.9 million. Right? Earlier it was 7.5 million. तो आप देख सकते हो at least 5 million were joining the labor force annually. तो उसमें भी काफ़ी ज़्यादा गिरावट हुई है, and even the government says that we are making a progress. Now NSS itself has clearly stated that 2-year survey provide comparable data, and that claims that 2 survey are not comparable is correct. तो दोनों जो डेटा है वो अपने आप में कॉन्ट्राडिक्ट करती हैं इन टर्म्स ऑफ टोटल एम्प्लॉयमेंट एंड द ग्रोथ रेट दैट हैज बीन प्रोजेक्टेड. डेटा मिसमैच की बात की गई है. क्लेम हैज बीन मेड बिटवीन 2017, 18 एंड 19, 20 दैट्स द वर्क पार्टिसिपेशन रेट विच इज ऑल्सो नोन एज WPR and लेबर फोर्स पार्टिसिपेशन रेट दैट इज नोन एज LFPR. ये दोनों में इम्प्रूवमेंट देखी गई है लेबर मार्केट में, ऐसा कहना है डेटास का. बट अगेन जो बड़ी क्वेश्चंस हैं दैट इज हाउ कम दिस रेट वेर राइजिंग एग्जैक्टली व्हेन द इकोनॉमी वाज स्लोइंग फ्रॉम 2017 to 20. तो एक्सपर्ट का कहना है जब सारी चीज़ की डेटा डिटोरेट कर रही थी तो जो लेबर वर्क पार्टिसिपेशन है या फिर लेबर फोर्स पार्टिसिपेशन है वो कैसे बढ़ सकती है जब हमारे पास एक्चुअल लॉकडाउन वाज विटनेसिंग. दिस इज अ कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन अगेन, एंड द रियलिटी इज दिस, द WPR and the LFPR is a misleading one. This is what the expert, the stakeholder has to say in this regard. And this caused the most increasing in unpaid family laborers, mostly by the women's. Now the claim that the manufacturing employment has increased between 2017 and 18 and 1920 by 1.8 is correct. कुछ हद तक ये डेटा करेक्ट है, बट अगेन मैन्युफैक्चरिंग की अगर बात करें GDP के शेयर में, इट हैज़ फेल बाय 17%, डिक्रीज इन 2017 and to 15% and then to 13%, which despite the Make in India initiative. So manufacturing is something which was hard, basically the most hated sector, which has impacted a lot many people who were actually the part of the micro, small and medium enterprises. Now farm employment की अगर बात करें, the recovery of urban employment till March 21 clearly ignores that urban employment barely captured the third total employment in the data that is coming for India. And beside agriculture output, the performance थी during the COVID-19 was there, and even the free rations may have elevated the acute distress. Now this completely ignores 2019 and 20 की data, ऐसा कहना है इस editorial में experts का, editor का. And even the agriculture distress is 200 million to 232 million, which is again creating problem for the rural wages, जहाँ पे reversible देखी गई है unemployment में जो 37 million के आसपास है, which is for the data 2005 to 12. So ये कुछ important datas होंगे जो कि आप ध्यान रख सकते हैं. It's not necessarily this would be asked in examination, but if you're writing आप इस तरह के comparison दे सकते हैं, right? And non-farm jobs में growth 7.5% annually भी देखी. Rising farm employment is reversible in the structural change underway till 2014, until that particular year. Now, what is the conclusion that we can have from this editorial? So there have been a massive increase in the joblessness in the last at least for the 10 million due to COVID-19, and the top of 30 million already are unemployed in 2019. This happened to be the Center for Monitoring Indian Economy that is reporting the unemployment rate, which has fallen nearly 43% in 2016 to 37% in 4 years. And poverty has already increased during the COVID-19 times. Post COVID economy recovers already, but again, we have to see that how the estimations and the actual people who were influenced by the कोविड टाइम्स वॉज दे एक्चुअली रीस्ट्रेन और उनके कंडीशन में कुछ सुधार हुई कि नहीं, ये काफ़ी इंपॉर्टेंट होगा. सो दिस इज हाउ द कंक्लूजन कैन मूव एट. Moving to the editorial, basically to the MCQ questions of the day. Before I proceed, just to tell you the answer of yesterday questions. For first question, the correct option is C. For second question, also the correct option is C. The first question is CPI के बारे में आपको बताना है. Corruption Perception Index is released by the Corruption Eradication Commission. India's rank has slipped 6th place among 180 countries in the CPI. So do check it out, which among the following is the correct option. Second is Global Tree Status किस city को मिली है? Indore, Bangalore, Hyderabad, New Delhi. So this was all about for the daily news and editorial analysis, followed by the MCQ questions. If you have any other concern, you can let me know. I'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.